It was a Friday that began like any other in London and Sydney, but by 8 a.m. Eastern Time on March 13, 2026, it became clear that the British monarchy had reached a point of no return. For years, the tension between the House of Windsor and the residents of Montecito had been a simmering Cold War defined by strategic leaks and icy silences. But today, the atmosphere shifted from passive disagreement to active surgical dismantling. At the center of this explosive crisis is a high-priced appearance by Meghan Markle at the so-called Besties Retreat in Australia, a move branded by critics as a soulless cash grab and the final nail in the coffin for the Sussexes' relationship with the crown. While the world was waking up to headlines about $3,200 tickets and manifestation sessions, a much more serious operation was being conducted behind the closed doors of Adelaide Cottage. This wasn't just a PR blunder, it was the catalyst for what insiders are now calling the Steel Strike. Prince William, the future king, has reportedly stepped out of the shadows to protect the sanctity of the throne with a resolve that is absolute. The consequences for the California-based couple are no longer just social. They are financial, legal, and permanent. The controversy surrounding the Sydney retreat has ignited a firestorm that is currently sweeping across the globe. To understand why this specific event became the breaking point, you have to look at the blatant commercialization of a 1,000-year-old institution. We aren't talking about a charity gala or a cultural exchange. This is the sale of proximity. For a staggering 3,200 Australian dollars, guests are promised luxury accommodations and organic meals. But the true product is a seat at a table with a duchess. Critics are calling this the professionalized exploitation of a royal title, a far cry from the service-oriented duties of working royals. The distinction between a public servant and a private influencer has been completely erased, and the Australian public is leading the charge in pointing out the hypocrisy. The backlash in the land down under has been nothing short of historic. Within a single 24-hour period, a petition titled "No Royal Grifting on Australian Soil" shattered all expectations, surpassing 100,000 signatures. This isn't just an online protest. It is a profound cultural rejection from a nation known for its no-nonsense attitude toward elitism. Australians are asking a simple, brutal question: why should taxpayer dollars be used for the security and logistics of a private commercial venture? The fury is fueled by reports that organizers had requested local government assistance, a move that was met with immediate public scorn. If the Sussexes want to live as private citizens, the message from the 100,000 signatories is clear: they must pay for their private lives themselves. This blatant commercial move has invited damaging comparisons to the scandals of the past, specifically Sarah Ferguson's cash for access schemes. But royal commentators are pointing out a chilling difference this time. While Ferguson's missteps were often viewed as the chaotic results of personal debt, Meghan's Australian venture is being viewed as a calculated corporate strategy. This isn't a mistake, it is a business model. By attaching a four-figure price tag to her presence, she has effectively turned a state-bestowed honor into a luxury commodity. To those watching, this represents the total abandonment of the service aspect of being a royal. While the Prince and Princess of Wales focus on homelessness and early childhood development, the Sussexes are focusing on gala seating charts and high-margin retreat packages. As the sun rose over the Thames at 5 a.m. this morning, the atmosphere inside Adelaide Cottage was one of quiet, steely determination. While the rest of the world was reacting to the news, Prince William had already been at his desk for hours. This was the moment the Steel Strike was born, a systematic dismantling of the Sussexes' ability to use the monarchy as a commercial springboard. William was joined via secure lines by high-level legal advisors and senior diplomatic aides. The mission was clear: create a legal and diplomatic firewall between the crown and the commercial activities of Harry and Meghan. During this consultation, William reportedly stated that the monarchy is a sacred service, not a billboard for hire. He made it clear that if anyone chooses to walk away from the duties of the crown, they must also walk away from the profit that comes with the name. By 7:45 a.m., the first phase of the strike was initiated. A formal diplomatic memo was dispatched to the Australian Home Affairs Department and the Prime Minister's office in Canberra. The memo was uncompromising, stating that the upcoming visit is to be treated strictly as a private commercial venture by two private citizens. By issuing this formal clarification, William effectively stripped his brother and sister-in-law of their quasi-official status. The implications are devastating. Because the trip is now officially classified as private, the Australian government has no legal grounds to provide state-funded resources. This means no government-funded motorcades and, most crucially, no state-funded security. When you consider that the security bill for a visit of this nature is estimated to exceed $5 million, the steel strike becomes a financial hammer blow. William has effectively called their bluff. If they want to sell tickets for thousands of dollars, they must bear the multi-million-dollar cost of their own safety. The British and Australian taxpayers are no longer footing the bill for a luxury manifestation retreat, but the Prince of Wales didn't stop there. He reportedly held a direct phone call with a senior official in New South Wales, insisting that the dignity of the crown is not for sale at a poolside disco. This was the steal in the strike, a cold reality that has left local organizers in a state of absolute panic. For years, the palace's approach was one of restraint. That era ended this morning. William has realized that silence is seen as complicity, and he is no longer willing to be complicit in the devaluation of his heritage. By cutting off the diplomatic oxygen that allows the Sussexes to operate as royal light celebrities, he is forcing them to exist solely on their own merits. Without the official royal stamp of approval, the Besties Retreat is no longer a prestigious event. It is merely an expensive seminar led by individuals who have been publicly disavowed by the very institution they are trying to sell. The contrast between the two brothers today could not be more striking. While Meghan was reportedly finalizing seating charts for her high-paying guests, Prince William spent his morning at a Commonwealth briefing focusing on the global cost of living crisis and housing initiatives. He was embodying the role of a future king who understands that his title is a debt he owes to the public. Meanwhile, his brother and sister-in-law are treating their titles as a debt they believe the public owes to them. As the clock struck 10:30 a.m., the effects of the steel strike began to ripple through the corporate world. At least two major sponsors of the Sydney retreat hearing of the formal disavowal have already begun urgent consultations to pull their funding. These brands are terrified of the grifter label that has now been cemented by the actions of the Prince of Wales. To understand the true scale of this downfall, we must look at the psychological weight of this rejection. For Harry and Meghan, Australia was once the land of their greatest triumph. In 2018, they were the darlings of the country, greeted with high energy and adoration. They were the faces of a rejuvenated monarchy. But as of today, that dream has been incinerated. The climate has shifted seismically. Harry finds himself an accomplice in what critics are calling a cosplay tour, a commercial venture explicitly disavowed by his own blood. Insiders suggest that while Meghan is focused on business logistics, Harry is reeling from the reality of their isolation. The dream of a half-in, half-out royal life has officially turned into a nightmare of global irrelevance. By 12:30 p.m. Sydney time, the organizing committee for the retreat was reported to be in total freefall. With the official royal stamp of approval revoked, the event's prestige vanished overnight. Three major corporate sponsors have officially pulled their funding, distancing themselves from the Sussexes as if they were commercially toxic. They signed on for the prestige of a duchess. They are leaving because they don't want to be associated with a brand that 100,000 citizens have publicly labeled as grifting. This disparity is exactly what William intended to highlight. If you take the royal out of a royal retreat, you are left with an overpriced seminar in a hotel basement. The consequences are not just financial, they are permanent. Major talent agencies in Hollywood are reportedly reassessing their relationship with the couple this evening. They are watching the cold, decisive actions of Kensington Palace and coming to a realization the Sussexes have no official future. The loophole that allowed them to monetize their connection to the king while simultaneously attacking the family has been welded shut. Harry and Meghan wanted the titles for the paycheck, but William has ensured those titles now come with a bill they cannot pay. The Besties Retreat was meant to be a grand comeback. Instead, it has become a Waterloo. By 1 p.m., the total disintegration of the Sussex brand was visible in real time. The narrative has reached its final, inevitable chapter. In this story, the roles are now set in stone. Harry and Meghan have emerged as the definitive antagonists, individuals who tried to treat 1,000 years of history like a private ATM. In stark contrast, Prince William has emerged as the hero of the hour, the protagonist who finally said no more. His steel strike has restored the boundary between public service and private greed. The irony for Meghan is biting. While she attempts to teach others how to manifest their best lives, her own commercial empire is manifesting a total and public collapse. We've learned that during a final consultation at 10:15 a.m., William's voice possessed the cold strength of tempered steel. He told the King's senior counsel that this is not about family feelings. It is about the survival of the crown. He insisted that the honors of the United Kingdom cannot be sold like tickets to a disco. If they wish to be private citizens in California, they must relinquish the right to represent the name. The bill has come due, and the crown is no longer paying it. With revenue streams like Netflix and Spotify already crumbling, the $5 million security bill is now a personal debt they may struggle to meet. As the sun sets on this historic Friday, the reality for the Mountbatten Windsors is bleak. Prince William didn't just protect the monarchy today, he protected the future. He showed that the House of Windsor will not be bullied or exploited for influencer clicks. As the Sussexes sit in their Montecito mansion, facing a black hole of debt and a reputation in tatters, the message from Kensington Palace is loud and clear. The theater is closed. The grift is over. The cosplay tour has reached its final destination. Kensington Palace has since confirmed a final decisive move. Under William's direct advice, the king has reportedly authorized a formal clarification of status. This new directive explicitly forbids the use of any royal title or association for commercial gain or the sale of lifestyle products. William has effectively turned the Duchess of Sussex title into a historical footnote, a name that can be held as a matter of courtesy but never again sold as a brand. This legal weld ensures that no matter what is manifested next, it will have to be done as a private citizen, not as a representative of the British state. In a private conversation between William and King Charles later this afternoon, William was firm. He reportedly said, "The era of the royal grift is officially over. Service is the only currency that matters in this house." The king, moved by his son's resolve, gave his full blessing to the steel strike, marking a unified front not seen in years. The 100,000 signatures in Australia weren't just a petition, they were a declaration of irrelevance. The public looked at the $3,200 packages and collectively said, "We see through you." As the clock strikes 8 p.m. in London, the landscape of the British monarchy has been permanently altered. This was a constitutional earthquake. The Sydney retreat, intended as a launchpad for influence, has become the tombstone of their royal credibility. The message today wasn't a suggestion, it was an absolute disavowal. The world is watching a House of Windsor that is more united and disciplined than it has been in decades. Prince William has shown that the future of the crown belongs to those who carry the burden of duty. The theater is empty, the sponsors are gone, and the steel strike is complete. The legal weld applied by Prince William this morning goes far deeper than a simple change in status. It is a surgical legal doctrine that essentially treats the Sussex brand as a closed chapter in the history of the British state. To understand the gravity of this one, must look at the granular details of the diplomatic protocols that were rewritten at 5 a.m. In the past, even when Harry and Meghan traveled for private business, they often benefited from international protected person status, a designation that essentially forced host nations to provide some level of intelligence sharing and logistical support. By reclassifying this Sydney trip as a purely commercial endeavor for private profit, William has effectively stripped away the last layer of that protective royal skin. This isn't just about security guards, it's about the very concept of diplomatic immunity. If the Australian government treats them as private citizens, they are subject to the same taxes, the same visa restrictions, and the same public scrutiny as any other foreign influencer. This is a nightmare for a couple that has spent years trying to maintain the aura of being royal while enjoying the freedom of being celebrity. William has forced them into a corner where they are now simply celebrities, and in the cutthroat world of Hollywood, a celebrity without a unique selling point is a celebrity in decline. The reaction from the Australian public hasn't just been limited to Sydney. From the coffee shops of Melbourne to the mining hubs of Perth, the tall poppy syndrome, a famous Australian cultural trait where people are quick to cut down those who act with unearned entitlement, has been triggered. Reports are coming in of local businesses in the New South Wales area explicitly asking to have their logos removed from any promotional materials associated with the Besties retreat. These aren't just small boutiques. These are generational Australian brands that realize the grifter label is a commercial death sentence. One local entrepreneur in Brisbane was overheard saying that the manifestation sessions feel like a slap in the face to a population currently navigating a brutal cost of living crisis. When you break down the math, the $3,200 ticket price wasn't a reflection of the value being offered. It was a reflection of the couple's overhead. Between the $16 million mansion, the high-end legal teams, and the private security detail they must now pay for, out of pocket, the Sussexes are running a business with staggering costs and dwindling revenue. The steel strike has essentially guaranteed that this Australian tour will run at a massive financial loss. It's a classic squeeze play. By forcing them to pay for their own protection, William is making it impossible for them to profit from their titles. But the most chilling aspect of this day for the Sussexes isn't the bank balance, it's the silence from Hollywood. We have received word that major talent agencies in Los Angeles spent the afternoon in damage control meetings. The Royal Light brand was once seen as the ultimate door opener. If you had the Duchess on your roster, you had access to a level of prestige that no movie star could match. But now that prestige has been replaced by brand toxicity, the 100,000 signatures in Australia have sent a clear message to the executives at Netflix and other major streamers: the public is no longer buying the victimhood narrative. When the public labels you a grifter, the A-list world starts looking for the exit. In London, the atmosphere is one of somber resolution. This isn't a victory that William is celebrating with a toast. It is a house-cleaning operation that he felt was decades overdue. Those close to the Prince of Wales say he often reflects on the legacy of his grandmother, the late Queen, and her mantra of being seen to be believed. William believes that the Sussexes have flipped that mantra into being seen to be paid. By shutting the door on the half-in, half-out model, he is ensuring that the monarchy remains a symbol of duty, not a marketing tool. The steel strike is his way of saying that the crown is not an heirloom to be sold off in pieces. It is a trust held for the people. The irony of the besties theme is perhaps the most painful part of this entire saga. While the retreat was marketed as a weekend of sisterhood and empowerment, Meghan finds herself more isolated than ever before. The besties in her inner circle, the high-profile celebrities who once flocked to her side, have been noticeably quiet as the steel strike has unfolded. In the high-stakes world of global branding, nobody wants to be the bestie of a brand that is being publicly dismantled by the future king. The manifestation sessions were supposed to focus on creating a dream life, but the reality on the ground in Sydney is a PR nightmare of epic proportions. As we look toward the future, the question is no longer whether the Sussexes can reconcile with the family, but whether they can survive as an independent brand. William has effectively removed the royal from the royal retreat, leaving behind nothing but an overpriced seminar and a mountain of debt. The theater is empty, the stage lights are flickering, and the audience has walked out. The cosplay tour has reached its final destination, and the bill for security for the titles and for the reputation has finally come due. Prince William has drawn his line in the sand, and as the tides of public opinion come in, it's clear that Harry and Meghan are on the wrong side of the water. This is the end of the influencer era for the House of Windsor. The steel strike has proven that the monarchy is not a business to be disrupted. It is an institution to be served. As the sun sets on this historic Friday, the Sussexes are left with their titles, but those titles have become heavy reminders of the service they abandoned and the profit they failed to secure. The grift is over, and the future king is just getting started.